So in this video, I'm going to be talking about Gara, specifically why people don't like her. And now from what I've gathered, it all boils down to one overarching reason known as management. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about her high maintenance gameplay, her being energy hungry, and the fact that there are just better alternatives to her. Now, the first thing I'm going to focus on is high maintenance gameplay. Honestly, I don't think it's too bad. There are other frames out there that have it much worse. But she can feel tedious and extremely repetitive. Now, you cast your 4, you cast it again to make sure the bubble doesn't reach the enemies, then you hold down your first button to slash the enemies. Now, this does a little bit of damage, but not too much. If you hit them again, the statuses will build and they'll slowly take more damage. And then it kind of just shreds them all. Now, obviously, if you don't have on the right build, you'll be doing not a lot of damage. I'll mention it briefly. You need Shattered Storm, her augment mod. You need to have decent strength. You don't need to have a lot, just a little bit. And then for her Shattered Lash Prime, I have on a basic build of electricity, so I can also make use of Archon Stretch. And then I have on Condition Overload to make sure I do a lot more melee damage. And then just shit to capitalize on the status damages, and then melee influence to make sure I do a lot more damage. Now, like I said, very basic. The build isn't the best. There's probably thousands out there that are better. But as you noticed, I casted my abilities quite a bit. That's because I don't have my own primer. I'm only showcasing Gara. If you had on a robot or a Kubrow or Kavat, they'd prime the enemies as well. You'd do a lot more damage. If you shot the enemies, you'd also do a lot more damage, obviously. So since I only attacked with my Shattered Lash, it took me a strike or two more than it should. But it doesn't change the fact that she is incredibly energy hungry. That is one of the big things as well. It falls down under high maintenance gameplay. You have to make sure you always upkeep your energy. Now, this is not that big of a deal if you have on either Spectral Siphon, her third ability augment, which will have a 50% chance of dropping an energy orb so long as you cast your 3. This makes her third ability something that is relatively considered useless into something that is a pretty, I would say, decent ability, because the energy orbs not only affect you, but your team as well. If you consider Spectral Rage completely useless, ignoring any of its crowd controlling effects, then you could trade it out for Nourish, which would negate the need for an augment mod and just give you energy just by using that. But with the need to cast her abilities multiple times, she is insanely energy hungry, which is why most people run primed flow on her or some form of energy management. In my case, I throw on Spectral Siphon just in case the team needs energy, but I'm not averse to using Nourish. I just didn't do it for this video since not every new player has the helmet yet. So her being energy hungry falls under high maintenance, which people absolutely hate. Having a Warframe that requires a shit ton of energy is something that nobody likes, especially if their energy management with their base Warframe is complete shit, which hers is. And now the next thing is that you always have to keep your 2 Splinter Storm activated. This is your damage reduction. This applies to you and your team and your defense target if there's one in the scenario. This is a very good ability, but you always have to keep it activated to upkeep your survivability, not just for you, but your team as well. Now, this is with any frame, so I don't think it's too bad, but some people really hate it for some reason. And honestly, I think that's just about it for her being a high maintenance frame. I honestly don't believe it's too much, but I do understand that it is a difficult loop to get into, having to cast your 4th ability twice immediately just to stop it, and then holding down your first button to send the shards flying at everyone to do a lot more damage. Now, the next thing we're going to focus on is just the fact that there are better alternatives. If you want to do a defense frame, while she is good because Splinter Storm does activate for the defense targets, it's only 90% damage reduction, which in higher level gameplay is essentially nothing. Once you get into like Archimedes, 90% is so little that taking even 1% of damage would kill you. Now, I might be making it sound worse than it is, but 90% just isn't a lot. Normal steel path, it's fine. You can throw an adaptation and shield and health tank just fine. But later in the game, it's going to be not enough. So if you want a defense target, there's just simply better options, such as Frost or Limbo. Limbo is a fantastic option, but he requires a skillful player, otherwise you're going to fuck over the team, which is why Limbo gets so much hate. Now, honestly, she is a fantastic frame for damage scaling and defense. I completely understand some of the hate for her, though. I do think it's blown out of proportion in some cases, but most people don't even know she's hated because it's nowhere near as bad as frames like Limbo, who are hated to the moon and back. But with that being said, that's pretty much just about it. Tell me, what do you think about Gara? Do you love her? Do you hate her? Do you hate her for a reason I didn't mention or even know about? And if you do, please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And with that being said, until next time.